All right, guys, on tonight's episode, James Watson on the line. Enough said. We'll be right back. That's right. Ignore the delay.
Okay, Matt, we're live.
Thank you, Jeff. Jeff cues me and usually there's my thumbs up. All right, guys, thanks for joining tonight. We have a special guest on the line that I'm super excited about. Good friend of mine, awesome fisherman, and a funny man, James Worldwide Watson. What's up, James?
Thanks for having me, dude. What an honor. I got invited to be on you and Thrift show.
Well, Thrift bailed on us tonight. He's out there in Arkansas playing appearance games. You know, when you win Angler of the Year, that's kind of what happens. You're called upon all over the country to do these appearances and these deals, but and you have to do that too. But see, Matt's sitting back in Shelby talking fishing every Tuesday night because I don't have anywhere to go right now except the deer stand.
I kind of look like that.
You know, I
just a
did
smidge.
Give Thrift an honorable worldwide status this year.
Yeah, so I heard you gave him a worldwide status, and what do I have to do to become worldwide?
Well, first you got to ask for it.
Oh, well, can I have worldwide status?
Well, yeah, you're going to ask for it. You're asking for it right now. being that we're live on air, I can't give away all the juicy content that's required of you to be worldwide.
Okay.
But the first step is asking, and you are now in the initiation process.
So I'm officially in the initiation process. So, all right, well, James, thanks again for joining, man. We're going to kick off the show tonight. James was part of the U.S. team that traveled to South Africa. We mentioned this last week on the show. The guys took a silver medal. They only fell short of the host country, South Africa. We were a little confused on kind of the format and stuff, the points system. It was, when I was following you guys online, I was really confused because it was like the more points you got, the worse off you were, right? And the less points you got, the better off you were.
That is true. What basically, in a nutshell, they call this a reverse Grand Prix, which I didn't know what a Grand Prix was. Basically, there was 13 countries, and each country had three two-man teams. So we had 6 anglers and 3 boats.
Okay.
So the way it worked was the best score we could get was for the United States to come in first, second, and third every day. First place gets 1 point, second place gets 2 points, third place gets 3 points, all the way down to the 39th team. Does that make sense?
Yes, got you.
That's how we were awarded points, and we again the country with the minimal amount of points wins. So,
Okay. Well, so tell us a little bit about the experience. I mean, representing the U.S. pretty awesome experience, and I know all the guys. I think I know everybody that you got to go down there with. A great group of guys, great group of fishermen, and I know it was a good time, especially with you in the mix. But just tell us about the experience a little bit. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Well, I'll start off just the experience of buying and getting the plane tickets to get you from your home base all the way to Johannesburg, Florida is definitely an expensive venture. So,
did you say Johannesburg, Florida?
Johannesburg, Florida. Did I say that?
I didn't know if that was a place or not.
Well, that is a short flight. Actually.
Gotcha.
Sorry about that.
How long was that flight, by the way?
Well, when we left London and going, there's 2.5 hours, and back, it was
Jamie, you're breaking up a little bit on us. You there? Okay. So how long was the flight, you said?
15 and a half, 16
15 and a half hours there and 16 and a half coming back.
Yeah.
What'd you do, sleep?
I didn't actually. I watched all of something on Netflix.
So you weren't watching Bryan Thrift how-to videos or anything like that?
No, I couldn't. They didn't have the kind of internets up there. That's where I thought the internet come from. And we were there, and I thought I'd get a better signal being up in the sky.
Got you. I got you. All right, so we got 47 viewers on, guys. Be sure to share the show tonight. We got a special guest, James Watson, on the line. And, so the fishing down there looked like it was pretty decent, though. I mean, look, people were probably confused. So what was the season down there when you were in South Africa as far as the stage of the fish and kind of where they were throughout, it was like the spawn for us, right?
That's right. It was springtime over there.
Okay.
Which was, definitely weird, getting over there and finding out, hey, we're in fall pattern here in the States, and you get there, it's like, hey, it's time to go bed fishing, maybe. that's pretty cool. I love that time of year, and I know you do too. So that's but it's hard to transition mentally when you're just accustomed. And I know you love fall fishing. You've had a lot of success doing it, and that's got to be a hard transition to come from here to go over there, and it's like you just skipped 6 months and went straight back to the spawn. That's right. It was kind of weird, but man, it was easy to pack, and take gear over there. That was a good part about it. There wasn't a whole lot of stuff that you actually had to take.
Right. Okay. So all right, guys. So what we're going to do right now, we got a couple pre-show questions that have been submitted. We always start our show with pre-show questions. Jeff had something. You had something you wanted to talk about as far as the LTF gear, right?
Yeah, we can do that later. It's not a big deal.
Okay, all right, we'll touch on that later. So we're going to go through a couple questions. We've got James on the line. He can help me answer some of them since the man himself, Thrift, has ditched us tonight. But that's all right. I think I'm in pretty good company with Watson on the phone. So first question, let's see. It says this is from Bryce. It says, I'm looking at going to graduate school, at Elon or High Point University. That's here in North Carolina, and I will most likely bring my boat. Is there any good fishing close by? Well, I'm going to have to answer that one probably. James, you probably don't know where either one of those schools are, do you?
I don't know how to answer that one.
All right, so Bryce, my younger brother went to High Point University, and actually you've got the Yadkin River system close by, which includes High Rock Lake, Baden, Tuckertown, Tillery. There's a lot of really, really, really good lakes close by to both of those schools. Elon's up there close to Greensboro, High Point, and that system kind of runs in between those two schools. So you've got probably 4 or 5 really phenomenal lakes to choose from. Absolutely, I would bring your boat. If you have the ability to do so and you got somewhere to store it, because there is some phenomenal fishing close by. And just an hour down the road towards Raleigh, you've got Sheeran Harris, you've got Falls, and you've got Jordan Lake. All 3 of those lakes are unbelievable, and all of them are capable of producing double-digit fish. Bruce Camp sent in a question. James, we'll get you involved here in a minute, buddy. I promise this one's a local question, too. It says, best lake in your opinion within an hour's drive of here that is best for quality and quantity? Well, that's an easy answer for me. That's Lake Norman. James has actually fished Lake Norman, and that lake is chock full of bass, period. For sheer numbers of fish, we've had a lot of days out there where we've caught 50 to 100 bass, and quality has improved over the years, even with the addition of the spotted bass. That's actually where the state record spot currently is held there from Lake Norman. It was a 6'4". Don't quote me on that, but it was a big, healthy, pretty fish. Let's go to next question. All right, James, I'm going to let you handle this one. This one's from Will. Will said, how do you most efficiently find your brush piles? I know you guys fish a lot of brush piles in the cup. Was curious how you find good brush. Do you look for non-obvious spots to find the fresh brush? Thanks, Will.
When trying to find brush, you try to find out who else going out to seek brush, what night they're going to go seek it, and then you follow.
That usually works.
That's a phenomenal answer, James. Yep,
that's one technique. Another technique is look up on the bank and try to find where they've cut a tree down, and you'll a stump that's freshly cut, and usually some good leaves laying around. And they generally don't want to drag those too far, so you can start by that way. So if you see something weird up on the bank line, start there and start working your way out from there and doing circles.
That's a good tip. Yeah, always look, especially in a lot of those natural lakes where they're not developed, they don't have docks and things like that. You look up on the bank and
a lot of core lakes too here. Matt, you know this. We got the core signs. They'll post a sign that says fish locators or brush here, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you use Lowrance, don't you, James, or do you?
Yep.
Yeah. So our side scan is a structure scan, and our side scan on the Lowrance units is a must-have for finding brush and finding it quickly and efficiently, because we are limited in our practice. And to answer your question, Will, how we efficiently find brush piles, James gave you a couple good tips, but those graphs are worth their weight in gold to us too. So having good electronics has a lot to do with it. I do look in non-obvious places too. Everybody, especially all our guys, they know the deal. They're going to look in all the obvious places first, and then you start covering those unobvious places. That's something Thrift's really good at. He'll cover. I hate to compliment him when he's not here, James. I usually like to criticize him or make fun of him when he's not here. But I'm gonna compliment him real quick. I'm gonna compliment him real quick, and he's really good at. He'll spend all day looking at the non-obvious stuff, because if he finds 2 or 3 places that are unobvious, they're much more likely to become productive throughout a multi-day tournament when he can fish all the obvious stuff the first day or two and then fall back on that unobvious stuff in day 3 and 4, which Thrift is typically always fishing day 3 and 4. So,
yeah, that's right. That's right. A lot of lakes have maps that have brush on them already.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There are little ways to go online and find different types of structure and brush. And those, do you know those links, James, right offhand, or do you know the best way for people to access them? Go ahead.
Table Rock Lake is one of them, Matt.
Okay, and how do you go online? What link do you use to access to find locations on the lake like Table Rock?
I'm not certain. I can't remember what it was, but I believe it's the Corps of Engineers, Arkansas district.
Okay, so it's got you. So it's the actual Army Corps site. You just have to kind of navigate their page in order to find out exactly where it is.
Yeah, I don't take my word for it, but I'm pretty sure that's it.
And they post coordinates too, don't they? Don't they give you GPS coordinates?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
All right, let's see. All right, here's one from Jeff Lyons. Guys, we're going to take your questions live here shortly. I've seen a couple have already rolled in. So here's another question from Jeff. Jeff said, what was the most important thing you learned that helped you catch more fish? So that's a pretty broad question. James, you want to answer that first?
What I've learned is first you got to get a bite. And after you get a bite, and it doesn't matter what you're doing, jerk baiting, crank baiting, swim baiting, top water fishing, you have to observe where and how you got that bite and try to analyze every aspect of, the boat was sitting in 15 foot and I was almost to a point and there was a big hardwood tree. And that's kind of how you learn things, by being very observant of when you got that bite and trying to duplicate that or pattern that. I don't know if that really answers his question.
Well, yeah, I think it does in a way, James, because basically paying attention to detail is what you're talking about. And the most important thing you learned that helped you catch more fish is when you catch one, obviously paying attention to detail will help you catch more. So, yeah, that does answer his question. And, Jeff, as far as the most important thing that I've ever learned to help me catch more fish, it's patience and being open-minded. And I would have to add versatility. Being versatile as a professional angler is our number one asset, being able to change when we find a group of fish, knowing how to maximize that group of fish, because they're not going to bite what they bit 2 days ago in practice necessarily. You're going to have a lot of options, and don't be afraid to change. So versatility is extremely important as far as helping you catch more fish, because anybody can go out to a pond, pick up a topwater or a plastic worm and catch one. But can you catch 10? Can you catch 15? Can you catch 20? And sometimes changing is what actually allows you to catch multiple fish. So you've got to keep an open mind and become a versatile angler. So, Jeff, you want to touch on the LTF stuff? Or you want to do that later?
I don't mind. Do it whenever you want.
Yeah, because I know we got to take a break before we come back onto the live questions. So, Jeff had some information. We're going to do a little deal, and I'm going to let Jeff talk about it.
Yeah, so we launched LTF gear last week, I guess. We had a few orders come in. We had some notified, and some we didn't get notified, so we're getting those orders out tomorrow. They just came in today for some reason. So we apologize, but those orders are going out tomorrow. But what we're going to do moving forward is we're going to randomly select orders. No telling when or how many, but we're just going to randomly select orders, whether you order a shirt, hat, multiples of whatever, and we're going to add some goodies.
Yeah, so basically what Jeff just said is we've got however many orders now. Jeff's got a box right there with somebody's order that we are adding stuff to. So in this particular box, we show them what we threw in there.
Yeah, and this is Dustin's show. If we drew your name out of the random orders last week.
So Dustin, your box hasn't been shipped out yet for this reason right here. We were going to use it on the show. And you've got, we're just going to surprise you with it. But you've got some pretty good goodies, pretty nice goodies coming in your order. So, guys, we're going to be randomly doing that, throwing in some stuff from our sponsors and things like that. So, we appreciate the orders. But LTFgear.com is our apparel site. You see some of the hats lined up here. We got a lot of different colors and things to choose from. We're going to take a quick break. We got James Watson, the man himself, on the line. When we come back, we'll be answering your questions live. Stay tuned.
Some brands test their oil deep in Siberia. We focus on places you actually drive, deep in the cul-de-sac. Nothing exotic, just damn good oil.
Send the feed and go outside where I get a better signal.
That'll work.
All right, folks, we're back live. We're live.
All right, we're back live, guys. Thanks for joining. We're gonna start taking your questions live. So, guys, share the post. Hit us with questions. We got James Watson on the line. He's here. James won the FLW Tour Invitational last fall. That's a tournament I fished, and it was very, very tough conditions. Actually, it was at Norris Lake over in Tennessee. It was October, and James, do you remember your total for? Was it 3 days? It was 3 days.
At which lake? I'm sorry, Jeff?
At Norris. So at Norris Lake, when you won, what was your 3-day total?
I had 13 something, and then 9 something.
So in the 30, I'm not good at math, 35 pound, 30, yeah, so about 35 pounds roughly, right?
Yes.
Okay, and so guys, there you have it on how tough it was. And James is a phenomenal fall fisherman. He loves to cover water. He loves to fish shallow, and he won that tournament on the infamous Whopper Plopper, which a lot of you guys are probably familiar with. So if you got any questions for James about fishing shallow, fishing topwater, throwing the plopper, I've heard some guys tell me, man, I still ain't caught a fish on that thing. Well, we got the man on the line that's caught plenty of fish on that bait, and he can tell you all about it, his setup, how to rig it, how he fishes it, when he fishes it, what to look for when fishing it. So if you got any questions about the plopper or fishing that Whopper Plopper, let us know. I'm going to scroll back through some questions. One of the first ones was from Jonathan Carter. They wanted me to ask you, James, Jonathan did, if you ever found your Yeti cup lid at Lake Murray. I have no idea what he's talking about.
He wanted to ask about Lake Murray, I'm sorry.
He said, did you ever find your Yeti cup lid at Lake Murray?
I wasn't willing to dive to the bottom of Lake Murray to find it on the last day of the cup.
Wait, you went swimming for the lid off your Yeti?
I was going to, but then I said, no, I'm not diving after that. I'll just find it.
So Jonathan, he did not find his Yeti cup lid. And let's see, the word on the street is you like to get you like a good pedicure every once in a while, James. Is that true?
That's true. You know, even at Major League Fishing, Defoe and myself find time to go get a petty together.
Oh, you're throwing Ott under the bus now. So you had to take somebody down with you. So yeah, James is a Major League Fishing pro also, guys. If you got any questions about MLF, shoot them to us because, like I said, we've got James on the line. So him and Ott, apparently when they're at MLF events, like to take time out of their busy schedules to go get a pedicure together. So
it's mandatory. It's even written in our contracts, Matt.
Come on now, it's written in your contracts.
It's written in our Major League Fishing contracts that we have an allocated time where we can go get pedicures.
Go get pedicures. I love it. I love it. Well,
next thing we're going to know is Massage Envy is going to be your title sponsor before we know it.
All right, so guys, we got let's see. We're here to answer your questions. Okay, Trevor Harrell, yeah, I don't mind doing that at all. Anytime it involves a college or a collegiate program. Trevor said, can you announce that the Appalachian State Bass Fishing Team will be having a fundraiser tournament at Lake Norman on November 12th? If anyone would like more details, you can contact me or go by the Great Outdoors over here in Cherryville to get the tournament flyer. So great calls. Anytime we can help out the college kids, I think that's pretty awesome. Let's see. John K. Hawk, let's see. So he's got a military question for you, James. He said airborne, exclamation points. He said, where did Watson serve? Trying to get to know my fellow vets.
There you go. Well, I appreciate that question. I was in the 19th Engineers, Fort Knox, Kentucky. I was in the 41st Engineers, 642nd CSE, Fort Drum, New York. And the 5th Engineers of Fort Leonard, Missouri, and also as a basic combat training drill sergeant, drill sergeant instructor, drill sergeant school, United States Army, Fort Leonard.
Oh wow, yeah. I knew you were a drill sergeant. That's why I never cross you when we're on the water. You know, if I see Watson fishing somewhere, I typically just go the opposite way. I don't like to get too close to him. But no, James, we appreciate your service, and John, you too, man. We really appreciate it. Without that, I mean, you really can't put it into words how much we're thankful for guys like yourself. But
me too. I'm glad you said that, Matt. Man, I give a big salute to those that have served and those that are currently serving, and people, it's kind of a mystery to a lot of people being in the armed forces, whether it's the Air Force, Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard. It's kind of a mystery to most people, and until you've really lived it and put a pair of combat boots on per se, most people don't truly understand. And I'm not asking for a pat on the back. Hell, nobody in it asks for a pat on the back. It's a good lifestyle. It's a job, and it's something that most people enjoyed. I know I enjoyed every bit of it. I only decided to get out of the Army because I had some really good job opportunities outside the service, and otherwise I'd still be in right now.
Well, you definitely put your time in, and we thank you for that. And that's a great point, James. People don't realize, and I don't really know. I haven't served, but so unless you've walked in those boots, you really don't know what you guys go through and what you guys sacrifice for our country. But we do thank you for that.
And most people do without hesitation, Matt. I mean, they're accustomed to getting up at anywhere from 4 o'clock in the morning to wake the troops up if you're in trainee land to staying up till 2000 at night with them, and then if you're normal duty station, 06 o'clock is usually first formation for PT, that's physical training, and then your next formation's at 08 or 09 o'clock, and everything in the Army, I know I can speak for the Army side of things, is clearly written on what's called a training schedule. Now, that might have changed in the last 15, 16 years, but it was pretty easy. Unlike fishing, the Army was pretty easy. They tell you what to wear, what time to be there, and you already know how to act because your drill sergeant taught you that part. So
yeah, and you better well do it, right? So what did you do when somebody disobeyed? What'd you do, James?
In the Army,
Yep.
I was an engineer. I ran all sorts of heavy equipment.
No, I meant when you were a drill sergeant. I said when somebody would disobey, I said, what would you do?
Oh, what would I do if somebody disobeyed me?
Right.
I would remind them of their solemn duty they took an oath for, and that's to do what I tell them to do, because I got a manual here that tells me exactly how it's to be done, and I'm here to instruct you to keep you out of harm's way. And the bottom line is your drill sergeant teaches the fundamentals of basic rifle marksmanship, physical fitness, how to take care of yourself, and mainly survive on today's modern battlefield.
Right,
So you
survival
better
skills.
listen to what they have to say.
Got you. Well, yeah, I'm sure that was a neat experience. You got to meet all kinds of people from different walks of life, as we do in fishing too. You know, that's the cool thing about fishing. We've you and I would have never met if it wasn't for fishing, and a lot of other these good guys out here. But that being said, we're so you got a couple questions rolling in, James. Let me shoot a couple your way. Jonathan Carter wants to know what your favorite bait on the Red River would be in April. I don't know that I've been to the Red River in April. I've been in May and the Cup down there in August.
My favorite bait for the Red River, any time of the year, my favorite bait would be a case of dynamite.
So it's a love-hate thing, basically, or is it just a hate thing?
That's right, man. If you can't throw a frog or flip there, I really don't know what else to do there besides frogging and flipping. And April's probably not the best time in the world. Probably a little bit of jerk baiting and square billing. Although spinner baiting is probably good there. Didn't Skeet win it there in April?
Yeah, the Classic was down there like in February, but the fish they spawn down there in Louisiana a lot earlier than they do around here typically. A lot earlier they do, James lives up near Table Rock Lake, or on Table Rock, excuse me, and with those fish in April, it's probably 100% post-spawn deal. You might have some fry garters and things like that, so I would imagine top water, but it's always shallow power fishing down there.
It'd be swim jig time, wouldn't it, Matt?
Yeah, I think you catch them on a swim jig. There may be a shad spawn going on. A white swim jig I would think would really shine that time of year, or a square bill like James said. So I haven't fished it. I think I fished it. We fished a tour of it down there. I believe it was in May. We fished a Cup down there, which was in August. I've never been there that early. I've never been there when they were spawning, which is February, March typically down there. So, but Jonathan, yeah, I would look for the bait. I think the bait would be your number one go-to, because if it's a post-spawn deal, the shad should be spawning, and there's not much that I like more. I mean, if the water's off-color, that swim jig will get a few more bites. If it gets clear on you, you get some of those backwater ponds, a swim bait, a soft plastic swim bait might be a little bit better. So, great swim jig river, though. Absolutely phenomenal swim jig river. All right, Brandon Brooks has got a question for you, James, about Major League Fishing. Brandon said he loved the episode on MLF when you won, when you were throwing that spoon on those docks. Great job. Always keep that in mind when I fish. Okay, sorry, that wasn't a question. He was just he was complimenting you on that win. That was pretty awesome, James. Absolutely, It was a pretty tough day, wasn't it? And towards the end of the day, you got on a deal and you just absolutely mopped the floor with the field, didn't you?
Oh, it was a perfect storm. Perfect opportunity, and it's a technique that's used a lot here in the Ozarks. It's no secret technique. But in the Major League Fishing, we approach that a little bit differently. Your approach is try to catch as many fish as you can. Don't try to catch a 3-pound average and fish for 5 bites, because you will get your head caved in.
Right.
And
it's all about numbers.
It's about numbers. And I fished hard that first morning, or that first part of the morning, and as we took off, I pointed at the marine and actually told my camera guy and my boat official, I guess they chose not to, or it didn't show up good on TV, to not put it on there. But I stated, if things don't work this morning, I'm coming right back to this marina and do my thing. And things didn't work that morning. I had 7 to 9 bites, if I remember right, all top water fishing, and got one of them to actually eat and missed the rest of them. They missed me. And boy, I got into that marina. I thought, I know what to do with these deep docks. And it was actually the 5th stall I actually slipped my big spoon into. I snagged a to Kentucky and had another one with it. And that's when I looked at and I'm dead last. And I looked at the camera and I nodded my arrogant little head shaking. I think I said, these boys are in trouble. And here I am. I just snagged a 15-incher, you know. I mean,
right.
Nothing the normal person would get excited about, but I knew what was about to happen. And I got in there, and my spoon was actually landing on the fish, and they weren't eating it. Mm-hmm. And I lost fish after fish. I snagged 3 or 4. It was phenomenal. These fish have never been dropped on before, and it's crazy how many bass was in there.
Yeah, and I actually watched that episode. I had heard about it through maybe I can't remember who told me about it. So, man, did you see that episode where Watson really mopped those boys up in MLF with that spoon on those docks? And when I saw you, I mean, I knew you were going to win it regardless, but the amount of fish that you lost was insane. I don't know how many pounds of fish you lost, some big ones, but how much did you win that by?
I had, I think, 38 pounds or 36 pounds, and I think Chapman had 16 pounds or something like that. I think I lapped everybody.
So the closest guy to you was about 20 pounds back.
Yeah, I doubled them.
That's pretty awesome.
That's pretty good.
Now that's a good old fashioned butt whooping, as we call it in the South. So,
well, you know, it happens in a person's career. Those don't happen very often.
That's right. But being a good angler like yourself is when you get that clue, like you were talking about earlier, and you know how to capitalize on it. That separates first place from 10th place. You know, and you were able to run away with it. So, yeah.
Right. And it presented itself, and I wasn't smart enough to get that clue until too late. A couple of years later, when we did a Major League Fishing Lake the Ozarks, and I was leading that event most of the day, and then slowly slipped all the way down like 4th place, and Kevin Short ended up winning that day. I slipped down and made a charge back. In the last 30 minutes, I got onto a big dock. It was the first dock I pulled on, and I'm kicking myself in the butt after I caught my first fish in the stall. I was like, I'm going to run out of time. I ain't got enough time to catch up here. And sure enough, in that last 30 minutes, I caught like 15 or 16 pounds out of 2 slips.
That's amazing how fast it can happen.
5'8" and 54 foot of water.
So how deep were those fish down there in those stalls? Do you let your spoon go to the bottom? Or I'm trying to learn a little bit too here, James. So
well, that's a good question. You know, most of the time, if I'm in 40 foot or so,
yep,
I'll let it go all the way to the bottom. Anytime I'm less than 40 foot, I'll let it go to the bottom. But most of the time, you know, I'm looking for docks that sit way deeper than that.
Got you.
But last fall in the Costa Championship, you know, Thrift did well, I did well, just a couple of tour guys there. Jeremy Lawyer did well. I had one stall that had bass in it that I found, and I actually went from catching them in 15 foot suspended to 25 foot suspended to on the bottom in 64 foot.
Wow.
I kept spooking them, I guess. And so 64 foot on the bottom's as deep as I've ever caught one.
Yeah, that 58's mine. So that was actually at Smith Lake in Alabama, but that's 60-something feet. And people don't realize up in the Ozarks where you fish, I mean, it's nothing to be fishing over 70, 80 foot of water. Around here and in the southeast, primarily, if we see 30 to 35 or 40 foot or even fish 25 feet deep, you know, that's deep. But deep is relative. I mean, it depends on where you are in this country. It changes a lot.
That's worth trying with that spoon, too. You know, there's you mentioned Smith. I'd love to go to Smith sometime and have a couple of days to jack around and just go spoon jacking on that pond.
We'll be there in March, you know. Of course, that won't. I don't think you'll be spooning in 60 foot of water in March, but
no.
Well, you can if you want to.
I'd like to be there in June.
Yeah, that would be good.
You know, Lake Travis, we were there this spring, Matt. That lake set up well for spoon jacking, but again, we were there a little earlier than I like to do it.
Right. Yeah, it was kind of a pre-spawn, just barely starting to touch on the spawn a little bit, and a lot of times when we're on the lakes like that, and they're right around getting ready to spawn, and you're fishing past 5 foot, you're fishing for, you know, second place. But anyway, go ahead, James.
A lot of your listeners Matt, are you Luz or what's your reel?
Okuma. I'm an Okuma guy.
Okuma. I know a lot of people fish Luz reels or may know of a guy from Luz. You probably know Mike Gutzler from Luz.
Yeah, I met Mike. Yep, I know Mike.
Well, to give credit where credit's due, Mike Gutzler and his son Corey. Well, I fished quite a few days with both them guys. Mike Gutzler is the man that taught me that method of fishing.
Well, that's nice of you to give him credit because, like you said, that doesn't happen a lot in our industry. Guys give credit where credit's due. But Thrift just texted me, by the way, James, and he said, y'all better do a good job tonight. So, you know, it'd be awesome if everybody shared this video and we got like more viewers than we did last week when Thrift was, or the week before last. Excuse me, we were off last week when Thrift was on the show, so we'd have something to rub in his face a little bit.
And Montgomery, if we could knock them both out on one shot, that'd be good.
That's right. Yeah, and guys, we're it's still in the works, but we may have a special guest next week for you. That's going to be a ball. We'll definitely have a good time with him. But all right, let's take another question here. Dwayne said, James, would it be safe if you and Ike were in the same boat fishing against each other? Talking about Ike and Ellie.
Talking about Ike and Ellie?
Yeah, he said, would it be safe if you and Ike were fishing in the same boat against each other?
Absolutely. Ike and I have actually fished together and even done a show together, and we had a good time. Mike's a good time. Mike's the guy that give you the trolling motor. He'd be like, man, I just caught a 5-pounder here, James. He'd hand the rod to you and say, hey, it's your turn.
Yeah, Mike is a nice fella. I've only got the pleasure of speaking with him a few times, but he is a very down-to-earth, regardless of what you see on TV sometimes. I know we can all lose our temper every once in a while, but I hear people say, oh man, that Ike and Ellie gets on my nerves, this, that, and the other. Well, I'll tell you, and James will tell you, for the guys that know him or have spoke to him and gotten to know him a little bit, he is a great guy and a fun guy to be around.
He's a wild cat. Don't get me wrong.
Well, he's from Jersey.
He's from Jersey. He makes a good show. I mean, he's a showman. He knows when to do it and how to do it, and it may be it might strike some people the wrong way, but you know, it makes money for him. He's got a huge following, and trust me, he's got 100 times more the following than he has the unfollowed.
Guaranteed.
Absolutely, and that's right. What a lot of people sit back and they can pick at people all they want while those guys take their check to the bank. You know what I'm saying? So,
you bet. I mean, you don't have to like him. He wants you to, but his business will survive if he has a few haters.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So Mike Harris wants to know, well, James, this is a great question for you because Mike said, and you live around all these different types of lakes, which I'm very fond of the lakes that you live around. I love Table Rock, Bull Shoals, Beaver, Lake of the Ozarks. They're beautiful lakes. They have a lot to offer. But he said, what is your definition of a Highland lake? Do any of the main Tennessee river lakes qualify? So I'll let you start since you're the Highland Lake expert for sure. Sound like he's hawking a loogie, man. You all right?
Well, I just got Miller came outside without his shoes on. Mom just got my ass. So,
got you.
You were talking about the Highland Lake.
Yeah. So let me ask you that question again, James. He said, Mike Harris wants to know what's your definition of a Highland reservoir, and do any of the Tennessee river lakes, would they qualify as a Highland reservoir? I mean, I can answer that, but since you live on Table Rock and you're very familiar with exactly what a Highland reservoir is, I'm going to let you answer that.
Well, I would think a Highland reservoir has a lot of deep water in it. Rock and deep water is the first thing I think of on a Highland reservoir.
Okay.
And less current.
Yep.
And less grass.
Yeah.
Other fisheries.
Yeah, the way they set up, and especially Table Rock and Bull Shoals, I would say deep water, obviously, but much more spread out. Major creek arms that feed a larger body, typically deep water, steeper banks, clear water. 95% of the Highland lakes that we fish the majority of the lakes are actually super clear. I don't feel like, Mike, that any of the Tennessee River lakes would qualify as a highland reservoir in my mind. Do you, James?
Me neither.
Okay, they set up a lot different. There's a lot of current. They're very, very, very current oriented on the Tennessee River system, and
that's true.
And then a lot of them are slam full of grass too. So
that's right. And current matters everywhere you go, but current is a major factor on every bit of the TVA.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. All right, so Jeff, why don't we take a quick break? And we're going to come back, continue questions live, guys. We got 90 viewers on right now. Don't leave us. 30 seconds. We'll be back. Last week when we went to a quick commercial, we lost like 25 guys. So
let's don't do it. Let's share 25 times.
Yeah, share 25 times while we're on this commercial break. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we just got back. We're going to get right back to live questions, and let's see. We've got one right here. Brian New sent in one. You know Brian New, James?
Oh yes, I just talked to that idiot earlier today.
What'd you call him? An idiot? Is that an IDGET? How do you spell that? Yeah. Okay.
What's his question? Because I'm unable to watch.
He said, yes, so James was watching the feed earlier, but because of his signal, he stepped outside so we could hear him a little bit better. Brian said, is the roof considered part of the dock, Watson?
Yes, Brian knew. The roof is part of the dock, as well as the very front approach of the walkway, once you step foot onto the dock, is part of the dock, as all the way to the very end, last cable, buckled down in 100+ foot of water, down there on that big concrete block. That's all part of the dock. Thank you for your question.
Did you get all that, Brian?
Yeah, Brian, I hope you got all that. And so, James, where did that question stem from?
Oh, my gosh. I had a co-angler nightmare last year at the Coastal Championship.
Brian, was his name Brian New?
No, his name is not Brian New.
Okay.
There's a great co-angler. Definitely knows what he can and cannot, should not be doing.
Yeah, Brian is a great co-angler. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and Brian can do just fine in the front of the boat too.
For sure.
He will make a great pro angler once he decides to step off into that financial burden. But no, I had a co-angler nightmare. My co-angler showed up still drunk from the night before. Right before takeoff, finally gets in my boat after multiple calls to him. It was a long story short. I told him I got one stall, please, whatever you do. When we get to this dock, I won't have any electronics on, nothing. Whatever you do, you can flip around, be precise, do not hit the dock or anything on the dock, pontoon. And after my third fish, he got really excited, jerked his spoon up out of the water, and slapped the lid of the dock. And it's a sound that could have been heard around the world. And he didn't think that would affect anything, and I proved it to him for the next hour. How I never got another bite.
Oh my Lord! Yeah, that stealth is a big issue sometimes with, and you know, we've had some phenomenal co-anglers, but guys, your chance. You know, we're all right. Thanks, guys. We're over 100 viewers right now, and we're not getting. We got a lot of listeners, but we're not getting any questions. We've got James Worldwide, the man, Watson on the line, Major League Fishing competitor, Major League Fishing winner, FLW Tour Invitational champion. The guy's hilarious. The guy's a phenomenal fisherman. If you got any questions, this is your chance to talk to Watson. But yeah, that's funny, James, because you know I've had some co-anglers that I tell the same thing. You know, especially fishing shallot. But fishing docks, absolutely. You know, I'm guilty of it. I've hit a pontoon before or hit a dock, but if I do it. You know, I don't want to say if I do it, it's fine, but I'm the reason we're at that dock. You're the reason you're at that dock. You know, we found those fish. If we screw it up, we want us to screw it up. We don't want somebody else to screw it up for us. So that being said, stealth
you
is
want to take the variables out of that.
Absolutely. Yep. And we try our best to be super stealthy, and guys don't realize turning those electronics off. When you catch a fish, don't jump down on the floor of the boat and slam him in the live well and open the lid. Just be stealthy. Just be quiet. The worst thing in the world is getting down to the bottom of the boat and jumping back up on the front deck and shuffling your rods around. I mean, they hear those vibrations, they hear those sounds, and
drop the net.
Yeah. Yep.
Anything, and that's that could be tonight's big pointer. Is the stealthiness.
Yep.
I mean, bass fishing's a game of odds, and the more casts you make, the better odds you have of catching more fish. That's part of the odds game.
Yep.
So we're always trying to make that extra cast, or I need that 5 minutes instead of me running that 5 minutes. I need to shut down and make some casts because I can't catch one. My odds are if I'm stealthy in a deep clear water boat dock stall, my odds of catching a fish are great compared to low odds when you slap the lid of a metal building and it echoes throughout the entire planet Earth.
So this guy was hung over. He wasn't actually like throwing up all day or anything, was he?
No, he was just, you could just smell the booze coming out of his pores. I mean, I've only had 2 co-anglers that I would consider absolute terrible draws. And trust me, I've had co-anglers that probably thought I was a terrible draw. I had some personal issues this spring at the first 2 tournaments that I shouldn't have been there fishing, and I did an injustice to my co-anglers. My mind wasn't in it. I wasn't thinking about fishing, and I just, those, thankfully, a couple of the guys were just jackpotting, and they weren't in contention to, try to make Angler of the Year stuff. And, it's just, if you come in as a co-angler into the sport and the BFLs, I recommend the BFLs, the Costas, and then the Tour or whatever. You got to remember at the tour level, guys like Matt and myself, we're positioning ourselves for paychecks. Not only paychecks that 50th place 10,000 or the 125,000 first place because we're Ranger Cup guys running the best bass boats ever made on planet Earth.
Amen.
We're positioning ourselves with our sponsors. We're positioning ourselves with future sponsors and people that may be watching or looking, or forecasting next year. It's this bass fishing's a big business, and thankfully for me, a lot of bass fishermen don't think of it as any more than a tournament. I think of everything that I do as it fit into my business model. And co-anglers, you can come in this thinking you're just going to learn a little bit about fishing and advance on to the pro side, or you pick this up as a hobby. Just declare that to your pros. Hey, I'm here to have a good time. And, if you put me around fishing, I catch some, great. But if you got a very overzealous co-angler who wants to win the tournament, that's generally the guy I don't want in my boat. And sometimes I get.
Yeah, that's part of it. That's part of it. But we're out there to do a job, like you said, and the last thing you need is something in the back of your boat that you actually have to worry about. Most of the co-anglers, like I said, have been great, and they do their own thing, and they're very respectful and they're very polite, and but there are every once in a while, just like there are bad apples from the pro standpoint too. There's a few, but there's you're going to have a few no matter what you do. So, but
that's right.
Mike. Daniel Kim. Daniel, what's up, man? Thanks for tuning in. Daniel's one of the guys from Demiki, and Daniel was in town the other week, and I ran into him, and he was eating breakfast with Thrift over at the not the cafe. He was eating Thrift with over at the Pancake House. And Allison,
Thrift talks about him all the time.
Yeah, well, Daniel was eating, and you don't see this, especially from somebody that's out of town. Daniel lives in California, and he had a big old giant square block of cooked
Liver mush?
Liver mush on his plate. And I said, Daniel, you're the man. Daniel was sitting there eating liver mush, and that's pretty cool. Daniel said, that's what his comment said. He said, liver mush. It was great chatting with you, Matt. But no, Daniel, I enjoyed seeing you guys, and hope y'all had a safe trip back. But yeah, liver mush, man, rock on. He had a bunch of ketchup. I think Daniel had a bunch of ketchup on his liver mush too. You know what liver mush is, James? Okay, well, there you have it. No, liver mush is a local deal, and it comes in a block, and
it's pretty much everything you don't eat
off of a pig.
Off of a pig.
Yeah, and you put it in a block.
Smashed into a block.
It's not liverwurst. No, it comes in a block. You slice it and you pan fry it, and it is phenomenal. I'll bring you some next year on tour. I'll bring.
Please do.
You'll try. You're gonna love it.
I'm very intrigued by this delightful treat.
It's a love-hate thing. You're either going to love it or you hate it, but I know that at least you're man enough to try
So what's your type of liver mush? Because there's a handful of Max.
Yeah. Max liver mush. I'm going to bring you a block of Max liver mush. All right, Mike Harris wants to know what your setup is for the Whopper Plopper, James.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, this, a lot of guys have their own opinions about this or that. I can honestly feel like I'm not an expert. I'm not very versatile angler. I'm not an expert at very many things, but I do believe that I've got the Whopper Plopper and the spoon jacking down to a science.
I would agree with that.
I'm a huge fan of a super fast 8-to-1. I use a Johnny Morris. It's a titanium 8. It's an 8-to-1 or 8-to-3 gear ratio reel.
Okay.
And super open water, like no boat docks and sharp zebra mussels type banks. I use 50-pound braid by Maxima. It's an 8-carrier woven braid. It's super limp, super quiet. You don't hear it running through your guides or your reel, which I think is important.
Yep.
Unlike some other braids that are coated that you can hear. The only problem with my Maxima fishing line braid is it gets discolored real quick. And I color it up with a Sharpie, a black Sharpie or magic marker, up to about 3 foot. And if I'm around a lot of cover or a lot of zebra mussels on the rocks and so on, like at Norris Lake, I throw it on 65-pound braid, which I can't throw it as far on 65 as I can 50. So a couple reasons why I throw 50 versus 65 there. And I throw it on a 710 heavy action punch rod made by WAFT, W-A-F-T. There's other 710 punch rods.
So you throw your plopper on a punch rod. I mean, that's a big rod.
I do. I throw it on a big rod.
Okay.
The 130 weighs, just shy of 2 ounces, like 1 3/4 ounces.
Yep.
I want it on a big rod so that I can throw it a long distance. In the clear water situations, you want that long distance cast.
Very critical, yeah.
Yeah. And that gives me the advantage. Now, some guys like to throw it on 20 and 25-pound monofilament. Trust me, in the ferocious bites I've seen and how quick they are to run to the bank or out to something, I'm not taking that chance with monofilament. Not one drop of chance. So it's direct tie to the split ring with 50 or 65-pound Maxima braid. But that big rod is critical, and braid has zero stretch and it floats, so it doesn't affect your lure once it hits the water. The eye stays up, it plops right, and I change that front hook out and I put a big 1/0 round bend, not 1/0, yeah, 1/0, not open number 1, a 1/0 round bend hook on the front.
Okay, so
that's my setup.
And you're throwing the 130 majority of the time.
Yes, I throw the 130 unless it's super dead calm, and then I'll go to the new 110, which is phenomenal, or even the 90. Now they all have different sounds to them, and that's the whole purpose of the Whopper Plopper.
Right.
Is to give you those four options. So you can throw the 190, the big giant musky one, if you want.
Yeah.
Not very many places until you go south does that become an effective tool. But you know, you can get away. I throw it a lot on 7.6 rod. Sometimes the 7.10's overbearing, and I can't throw it over cables or around docks very well. So I have to downsize my rod just a little bit and make it more manageable.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and that's a good tip. And I throw mine on a 7.6, but I use a high speed Okuma Helios. It's an 8-to-1, and I do think that high speed is very critical. I have a very similar setup. I don't use the 7.10. I use a 7.6, but it is a heavy action rod, and I do throw. I use 50-pound P-line, the XTCB braid, and I use the 8 carrier braid for castability, and it's a little bit more limp. And there again,
that's a super good limp braid too. And you know, there's a big difference between that 7-to-1 versus 8-to-1.
Absolutely.
8+.
Yeah,
there is.
Yeah, and they've got that plopper is you know, it was, I remember Thrift and I were throwing it out here on Moss a couple years ago before it really hit the scenes hard, and we realized real fast how big of a weapon this thing would be, and then our good buddy Watson goes and wins a tournament on it and writes an article about it in FLW. So we thank you for that, James.
I know.
I'm giving you a hard time, man.
I know you are. I've had death threats though, and I hated really to expose that secret because it was a really good secret.
Well, you're like me. You're an honest person, and when you go out and you win a tour event, and you know how the media is following it, and you know how our guys are paying close attention to it. I mean, if you're throwing a whopper plopper, you can't go out. You can't tell them you were throwing a buzz bait. You know, you can't tell them you were throwing a spook. You know, it doesn't work like that. So I'm giving you a hard time. You had to. I mean, it was coming out regardless of what happened. But you've really maximized it. You were able to capitalize on that Norris Lake win, which was awesome.
You know, you first won me that Bassmaster Open.
That's right. I'm sorry. I apologize. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So you've won 2 major tournaments fishing that plopper.
Yep. And you know, that punched my ticket, the Bassmaster Classic.
That's right.
I don't fish very many bass events. That might be the once in a lifetime chance that I get to go to the Classic, and I was fortunate enough to let it all hang out, and it worked. And you know, I made a critical error at the Costa here at Lake the Ozarks 2 weeks ago, and I was sitting in 3rd place going in the last day, and broke my own rule and retreaded water that had been fishing the first 2 days, and I should never have done that this time of year.
Yeah, you nailed it right there, that last comment, this time of year, because this time of year those fish are not replenishing in those places typically, and if they are, it's not very many of them. But you told me that when we were talking on the phone, I believe it was yesterday, and you said, I broke my own golden rule, and the way you've won those 2 events, you were covering new water constantly, and that's hard for a lot of guys, especially weekend guys, to mentally just literally after the 2nd or 3rd day of an event, you have a pattern going, but you have fished everything that you knew was good in practice, or you figured out. You have to completely can it and just cover new water. But like you said, making those long casts, covering water, putting your head down, you're not fishing for 35 bites that time of year. You're fishing for 6, 7, 8, 9 bites, sometimes 5 bites. You know, so
that's right. And, you know, on the plopper, a good day of plopper fishing to me, most people in their right minds won't even go out there thinking that, you know, I need anymore the conditioning that they're becoming. You need about 10 bites in a day, because half of them ain't gonna get it. You know, it's tough, and you know, a lot of people's like, man, you see a lot of this hubbub on all the websites here recently about, you know, tour anglers, elite anglers shouldn't be allowed to fish AAAs and BFLs, and you know, my rebuttal is I got to go make a living, cashing a paycheck somewhere, somehow, that I'm allowed to go fish. I should be allowed to go fishing just like anybody else. The other thing is, we're expected to have a slight edge, but at any of these tournaments, trust me, from the Costas, BFLs, anybody on any given day is liable to win that tournament.
Yeah, that's right.
The difference between us and the average angler is we've got, as our job, our office is part promotion and part fishing. And when we're out there fishing, we get a lot more fishing days on the water, or at least we're supposed to as pro anglers. And we know when to hold them and know when to fold them. And those split decisions of picking up a little brown jig and going on out of the pocket and flipping it on a little bit ledgier rock when you've been catching them at Beaver Lake inside dip cuts was a critical decision to catch those few extra fish that put you over the top.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, guys, I'm going to apologize. My phone, for some reason, Jeff, wasn't updating our questions. We've got a ton of questions. James, you still got time to stay on with us for a little bit?
Mine wasn't either.
I've got about 10 more minutes.
You got about 10 more minutes. Okay, all right. We're going to go through some of these questions. I had to refresh mine, and it finally updated with just tons of questions. So, let's see.
Real quick, I see Chris Ray joined us. He's watching. He's my buddy in Texas that hooked us up with the Beckers.
Yeah.
Who we donate the money to. So
okay, cool.
Appreciate you joining us, Chris, and thanks for that. And,
thank you, Chris. All right.
Hey, while you're looking at them questions, everybody that is listening, go like the real James Watson on Instagram or James Watson Professional Angler on the Facebook machine.
Absolutely. James had a really, really awesome live video a couple weeks back talking about FLW and bass. We get those questions a lot, James, on the show. We could talk for days. We're gonna get back engaged with our fans and answer some of their questions, but we're gonna have you back on the show if you'll have us, and we're gonna get into that conversation one day for the viewers.
I want to get back on your show, and I want to talk about that. I don't want people to misunderstand.
Perfect.
I love the bass elites.
Perfect.
The guys that fish bass elites.
Yeah.
And they're awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
But guess what?
For sure.
FLW's got awesome fishermen too.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Brandon Dimple said, JMFW, can you help? I love how everybody's calling you JMFW. We won't tell them exactly what that stands for. They can figure it out themselves. Extremely clear water sand pit. How would you fish it? And it gets deep as 40 feet with no cover. A clear 40-foot deep sand pit with no cover. James, roll with that one, buddy. Good luck with that one.
Oh, my gosh. How about the old rubber worm technique?
The what?
A little sand pit. You know, a lot of those, I'm wondering if he's referring to like mines, strip mines. So, a lot of topwater fishing if it's clear.
Yeah, clear, swim baits. A lot of those, if there's no cover in there, a lot of those fish are probably roaming around suspended. I hope there's plenty of food for them. But that being said, I'd probably toss a live shiner in there, wouldn't you, James?
Oh, yeah. There'd be an old shiner in there.
Yep.
Throw you an old swim bait of some sort. That Bass Pro makes one. Kitech makes one.
Yeah, a little wacky rig worm will probably catch a few fish. Channing Austin, James said, thank you for your military service first. It says, I'm going to kind of take offense to this. Channing said, why, and you might too, why are so many Alabama boys dominating the sport at this time? Seems everywhere they go, they're at the top. Well, there are some great fishermen from Alabama, but there's also a larger number of pros, and a lot of those guys have relocated to Alabama, like Justin Lucas and Aaron Martin. Some of those guys, they're not actually from Alabama. They live there now. But that being said, Alabama has a great diversity of lakes. It's similar to the Carolinas, in my opinion, in that we have a lot of different options. That molds a better professional, in my opinion, than a place like Michigan or New York or somewhere like that where they don't have as many options to actually go out and become more of a versatile angler. So Alabama puts out a lot of great fishermen, as does a lot of other states. You know, our Forest Wood Cup champion Justin Atkins is from Alabama, and phenomenal up and comer. Jordan Lee, the classic champion, is from Alabama, and I'm sure that's what he's referring to. There's a lot of great anglers from that state. So
it's a good hub if you want to be a professional bass fisherman. You got the option to live somewhere.
Yep.
You're not afraid to pack your bags and move.
Yep.
That's a state I'd move to.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great location, especially if you're going to pursue bass fishing as a career, because it's very centrally located for a lot of major events. So let's jump down. Let's see. Brandon Brooks. All right, James, here's one for you. Brandon Brooks said, do you believe the saying that winds from the east, the fish bite the least? I used to until this year. I've caught a lot of fish on an east wind. It doesn't matter what we believe. We have to learn to catch them regardless of which way the wind blows. But, James, what's your belief on that? I think that's kind of an old wives' tale.
Well, that is sort of an old wives' tale, but I other time of the year. For whatever reason, I do believe a little bit of that farce in the pre-spawn time, but no other part of the year does that really bother me.
Okay. So
I don't know why. I've seen more patterns dissolve on it from pre-fish to the first day of the tournament. All of a sudden, it comes blowing out of the east, and it just, for whatever reason, has killed me quite a few times.
Yeah, and I think we get hung up a lot of times on whatever that pattern was when they were really biting. The way we found them, you need versatility. Going back to versatility, those fish are still around. They're still in the area. You've got to figure out a different application when those fish get what people call lockjaw, or they get affected by a pressure change or something like that. You become more. It may be more of a finesse approach, and a lot of times we see that where we got to pick up a spinning rod and 6-pound line. We don't like to do it. I know James sure as heck doesn't like to do it, but you have to pick up a spinning rod, light line, and a little bitty worm to catch them, right?
It does for a lot of people, but it doesn't for me because I don't do that crap.
So you would just rather ignore it altogether, regardless if you're gonna catch them or not, huh?
I try not to say rather, exactly, but I'm notorious for being completely bullheaded and stubborn, and that's why you see a lot of big epic 100+ finishes by me.
Well,
and it's not because I had a good practice. A lot of times I don't have very good practice, and it just stays that way in the tournament too.
Yeah, and that's true, absolutely. Let's see, Jeff Hunt said, ask James if he had any ill effects after the horrible boat accident in the marina we were involved in at the Red River to Sea Open at Clear Lake, California.
Yes, Andy from River to Sea. He's pulling out there, and he put a gouge like 3 inches long, and you could put your thumb in partway in this side of his fiberglass.
Oh.
And it was not an accident per se. It was just him being a jackleg, and he he just scarred his boat real bad, and we give him hell all day because of it.
Okay, so it wasn't really a bad boat accident.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, not a boat accident.
Yeah, okay. Okay, James, here's a good one for you. You've done well in this side of it. I've been real fortunate with some good sponsor relations over the years. Joshua Sanchez says, any thoughts? We get this question all the time. We don't really talk about it a lot. Any thoughts on obtaining sponsorships? James, your approach to obtaining sponsors, you're a businessman too. You really understand that side of the game or that side of our industry. You want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, you have to be marketable. I know that's kind of a broad statement, but what do you have that sponsor needs you for? What is it that you possess that he couldn't get for 50 other guys?
Exactly. How does that one thing that sets yourself apart from everybody else? And you don't have to go out there and win 30 tournaments to obtain sponsorship. It has nothing to do with it most of the time, especially with the non-endemics.
Right.
You need to figure out how to sell product. You need to figure out that one thing, like James said, that separates yourself. Don't just send out a little packet that says, I won 16 club tournaments in a row. I need a sponsorship. Tell them what you can do for them. That's what it's all about.
That's right. And then, yeah, you got a nice looking bass boat, but so's the other 50 guys.
That's right.
You're going to go speak to 20 high schools this year. You're scheduled to do that. Now I'm listening to you. You know.
Yep.
Oh, you're going to put 15,000 miles pulling your wrap truck and boat up and down the highways in 15 states.
Yeah.
Now I'm listening to you.
Yep.
All those little things like that. You got to make yourself marketable.
Yep.
And Roland Martin said it, and I'm terrible with the English language at times. Roland Martin said this the other day on Luke Duncan's Low Budget Live, and he said the main thing is to learn the English language.
Yeah, so you're talking about just correct grammar.
That's right.
Yeah, and you nailed it, because I've heard several people say that exact same thing, especially people that have interviewed guys for sponsorship deals, and how big of a turnoff it is for somebody to use incorrect grammar when they're interviewing or when they're sending emails or simple spell check and things like that can solve the email problems. But when you're talking to somebody face to face, correct grammar has a huge impression how they are going to react to you.
That's right. Go take a public speaking course.
Yeah, can't hurt.
At the junior college or night class or something. That'll really help you too, because a lot of people can't talk in front of people. They can't. They have no story to tell per se, and if they did, they don't know how to tell it.
Yep, that's exactly right. All right, James, I know you got to get off here in just a second. Let's get a couple more questions real quick. Guys, it's past, I think we're past 8 o'clock too, aren't we, Jeff?
Yeah, 12.
All right, so let's hit up 2 more questions, guys, and apologies if we don't get to your question tonight. Please get back on with us next Tuesday. We're going to have hopefully we're going to have a special guest. Still working the details out on that, but excited about it. This was a good question. I noticed this, and I'm scrolling down just choosing odd questions from Scott Hill. James, he said, do you use a follow-up bait when a fish misses that whopper plopper?
Not anymore.
And why is that?
No. It is so unlikely to get that fish to bite again. I just have had, maybe I can recall one fish in all the times that I've got to bite again.
Right.
I don't know what it is, other than I believe that fish, once he strikes, he's moving down the bank as it is.
Yep.
You interrupt him with your bait, and he eats at it, misses it, and he's still moving.
Right. Yeah, and you just feel like your odds are better because you're only getting a few bites a day anyway. This time of year, especially on that ploppers, do you feel like your odds are better just to keep covering water and doing your thing?
Yeah, because I have a million times made a follow-up pitch with something, from a little worm to a little jig to another topwater like a spook or something, or even the whopper plopper back at him again.
Yeah. Okay. Have you ever had one strike the plopper, throw back in there with the plopper, and catch that fish when you knew it wasn't multiple fish?
Say that again, Matt.
Have you ever caught a plopper fish that missed it? You threw back in with the plopper again, and you caught him.
No, but I have had a fish blast the plopper out of the water and keep reeling it and have another fish eat it.
Got you. Yeah, where there's little wolf packs cruising the bank, things like that.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Josh Perriman, a buddy of mine, said Alabama. He said, plus Alabama has the best barbecue. Josh, that is BS. You can come up to North Carolina and we will fight that battle all day long, and I promise you we'll win. All right, James, what's your go-to color of the whopper plopper?
I got 4 of them. I like the loon, I like the bone, the monkey butt, and blue blood.
The blue blood, the monkey butt, which, yes, that's a color, the bone, and the loon. The loon is more of a black color. The bone is basically a bone color. The monkey butt is kind of a translucent with different color flakes on the bottom of it, and the blue blood has a blue, kind of a chrome tint to it, doesn't it?
Yep. And there's a new color that I'm getting the likes of, the 5. It's called Sun-Kissed.
Okay, cool. All right, Jason Johnson is on. I don't know if you saw it. Well, James, I know you're not able to watch. He said there's nothing wrong with 6-pound line. Did you hear me? Jason said there's nothing wrong with 6-pound line.
There's nothing wrong with 6. Come on, Johnson.
Yeah, that's right. Elliot Turner, thanks for getting on. What's up from Southern Oregon? Thanks a lot for tuning in. Let's see. J.R. Mitchell said, Taco Tuesday's been a staple in my life for years. This show has taken its place. Absolutely awesome.
We replaced Taco Tuesday?
We replaced Taco Tuesday.
We're done. We've reached our pinnacle. We can quit.
That's it. All right. David Franklin.
Got to get on David Rose Outdoor Scoreboard.
Okay, buddy. James, we appreciate. Yeah, thank you so much for getting on, James. Worldwide, we'll see you soon, buddy. Talk to you soon.
All right, take care, guys. Thank you.
See you later.
All right, guys, so James is off the phone now. Apologies if we didn't get to your question. He's actually got another show that he's getting on right after this one, some outdoor scoreboard deal. We've got a few minutes. I'll try to answer another question or two here. I know we typically wrap these shows up about 8 o'clock. Thanks so much for all the support. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the questions. I'm going to go down Les Doolin said he may be right about the barbecue, Matt, about Alabama having better barbecue.
Was only one way to find out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm going to have barbecue. I've never even eaten barbecue.
We need to go to Alabama and eat some barbecue. I haven't either.
That's right. We're going to get down there. Actually, Josh, who is fishes with me, practices with me, he's a co-angler on the FLW tour. He's a buddy of mine. So, Josh, you bring me some of that barbecue at the first event next year down in Okeechobee, and I'll bring you some bridges here from Shelby, North Carolina, and we'll have a little taste test down there. David Franklin said, well, this was to James, said during a tournament when you're catching fish but just not getting the size, what do you change or how do you adjust to get that kicker fish? David, it really depends on the fishery. We talked about this a couple weeks ago with Thrift, and it depends on what kind of quality you're after. If you're catching fish, you're doing the right thing, number one. Sometimes you can upsize your bait. Sometimes you have to change locations. But if you're throwing it depends on what you're throwing. It depends on the fishery. And like I said, what you're targeting. But I have caught a limit of fish before a tournament, and then I've upsized my bait. Fish the same areas because I know there's bigger fish present, and the smaller fish are just getting my bait before they are. Maybe I've gone to a 6-inch swim bait or something like that, or just a bigger profile bait to try to trigger a bigger fish to react to it. Brandon Brooks said, "Roll Tide." Jeff Hoof said, "Great
Can't
show,
argue with
guys."
that.
Yeah, Alabama. I mean, State. I'm gonna tell you what, my Wolfpack, my NC State boys are having a heck of a season.
Yeah,
They're
after
6-1.
they lost to South Carolina, they turned it on.
Absolutely, and they shouldn't have lost that game. You rubbing that in my face too. Jeff's a Gamecock fan over here. So
hey, we were supposed to go 4-8 this year, so we're good from here on out, no matter what happens.
yeah, that's right. Well, y'all gonna be lucky to make a bowl game this year, aren't you?
Oh, we're good.
All right, guys, we ran out of time for tonight. Apologies if we didn't get to your question. Next week's going to be a great show. Be sure to tune in. Thanks for tuning in tonight. We had over 110, 115 viewers tonight.
Maybe touched on in the 20s, 120s.
Yeah, touching the 120. So we're going to rub that in Thrift's face when he gets back.
Remember, LTFgear.com.
Yep.
You never know what you're going to get.
That's right.
We'll fill your box up with all kind of goodies. No telling what it is.
Yeah, so go online, LTFgear.com, to order your hats and shirts. Guys, when we can't fish, we're going to get on here Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. and talk fish. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.